All right, everyone, that's probably good enough for now. I'm sure other people will trickle in coming from random meetings and whatnot. But I wanted to take a time to just appreciate everyone coming out. My name is Alex. I am one of the team leads at MarkUp. We're really, really excited about putting this on today. This is, I think, our third big webinar that we've done. One has sort of been to all users that we did last December. We did a smaller one to Ceros customers about a year ago, actually. And then this one definitely marketed and promoted to Ceros customers that maybe haven't signed up for MarkUp yet or haven't fully adopted, but also ones that might be pros and are interested in learning more about what's coming in the roadmap. So we're going to cover a lot today. I'm also joined by two other team leads at MarkUp, Greg and Aaron, that are behind the scenes. And also shout out to Caroline Boylan for helping us set this up on the Ceros side. I will say that as we go through this today, if you have questions, and I'm sure there's going to be plenty that come through, if you can use the Q&A feature, that's the best way for us to keep all those questions organized, and we can go through them one by one at the end. And then for any basic, if you have like a malfunction with Zoom, or you need help with something in general, feel free to just reach out in the chat to Caroline, Greg, or Aaron, and they'll get you set up. And if anyone else from the MarkUp team is here, quick shout out. Thanks for all you do to help us get this product in place and to be able to do things like we're doing today. So the first thing I wanted to run through, especially for those of you who are new, it's been about 18 months since we launched MarkUp. And honestly, the biggest reason we wanted to do that inside of Ceros was to give Ceros customers an easier way to collaborate on the content that they were creating, both inside the studio and outside as well. We know that the process for collaborating on web content is pretty cumbersome. It can be pretty ugly. It can be filled with a lot of screenshots and docs and sheets and trying to track changes across a bunch of different platforms, and things become really, really messy really quickly. And so with MarkUp, we wanted to empower you all and your teammates to be able to collaborate on that content in a much more efficient way. And so with MarkUp, what we're going to run through today is really the core product of how do you take something, either a preview or a published link from the Ceros studio, and collaborate on that, upload that into MarkUp, and comment directly on that web content. We also do have the ability to add images and PDFs. PDFs is brand new. It's still in beta, but will be launched in June. So we're going to be covering all of that. And I will say in the last 18 months, MarkUp has come an exceptionally long way in terms of product development, but also user growth. So proud to say that we have over 2,000 individual users from over 400 Ceros customers that are using MarkUp today, which is incredible. It's over half of the entire Ceros customer base is using MarkUp. And this week, probably tomorrow or Thursday, we will officially hit 100,000 users since our launch last year. So really, really excited about all of that. There's a ton to cover, and I want to make sure that we can get you all up to speed. I'm actually just here. You can take a look real quick, and I'm going to turn my camera off so we're not distracted there. This is the MarkUp dashboard as soon as you sign into MarkUp. And for those of you who are new, it's really, really easy to be able to come into MarkUp, sign up. If you have SSO affiliated with your Ceros Studio account, you're just going to click either Microsoft or Google. We have two of those buttons on the sign up page. That'll bring you right into MarkUp. If you don't have SSO, it's super easy. Just go to the sign up page. You'll type in the email that's associated with your Ceros account, and then MarkUp will prompt you to use the same password from the Ceros Studio, and that will link your account, and you'll be good to go. And then if you don't happen to have a seat in the Ceros Studio, super easy, just create your account, use whatever email and password you want, and you're good to go. We are going to be sharing all this information afterwards, so don't feel like we're rushing through things here and you're not going to be able to take notes. We'll make sure that on our end, we're getting all this information over to you. So when you come into MarkUp, like I said, this is your dashboard. So pretty much any project that you create, whether it's web-based, which we'll be typing in a URL here, image-based, just uploading an image, or PDF-based, where you upload it here as well, they're all going to live inside of here. And they're going to be denoted by these thumbnails down here. You can edit the name of your project if you'd like. You can see how many comments are in there. If it happens to be an image project or a PDF, you can see how many pages are a part of that image or PDF project. And super, super easy to navigate through here and get access to your projects. I will say that for the last 18 months, we have been looking at how do we revamp how accounts work inside of MarkUp? And I mean, this has been around since day one, sort of this, you come in, you have thumbnails of your projects, but it's not, admittedly, it's not super clear as to who has access to what projects, who has access to your specific account. And one of the things that we wanted to do is to provide more clarity around that for teams. So coming out this summer, we're really, really excited about revamping the interface here in what we're calling Workspaces. And Workspaces are going to be completely free to use. This just keeps everyone much more organized inside of MarkUp, and basically will allow you to do a couple of things. One, you can invite certain team members to your workspace in a much more transparent way. Two, you'll be able to actually create folders of all of your projects. So if you look back here, pull up MarkUp thing. This can get a little hairy at times if you're creating a bunch of projects or a bunch of different versions of projects, and you want to be able to put things into folders just like you can in the studio. So we're definitely going to allow you to do that. You'll be able to bounce around to different workspaces over here on the left-hand side. And you'll be able to invite team members in a very clear way, like I said. So you can make sure you're seeing in real time who has access to your account or who has access to specific projects, but maybe not necessarily your entire account. And just, again, making sure that teams are staying really, really organized in here. So super, super excited about that. And coming over here. So what I wanted to point out first was, is you're coming into the Ceros studio and you've got a project that you're working on. And yes, it is Memorial Day weekend coming up for those of us in the States. And I decided to go with the shades theme. Like, one of the biggest things in terms of creating content in the studio is being able to very quickly get this out and collaborate on with your team. And so one of the things we made it really easy to do is just now basically grab any preview link in here and throw that inside of MarkUp. So I've already loaded up this project actually inside of MarkUp, but essentially you'd upload this or take this preview link here whenever you're ready to go with your content, copy that, come into MarkUp, you'd paste it in here, click go, and you're going to have a project fired up for you, ready for commenting. So the beautiful thing about this is as soon as you put this into MarkUp, you can start placing comments on it immediately. Super easy. It's simple as a click. I'll say, and all of that feedback is going to live over here on the left-hand side in the comment panel. And you'll notice in here, as I go into this specific comment, I click in, you can actually start threads in here with users. So you can continue the conversation in a longer thread. Yes, got it. Post. And you'll also be able to add attachments if you wanted. But right here, it's really important. You'll notice that MarkUp actually took an automatic screenshot for me as I was placing that comment. And one of the things that we love pointing out to users is MarkUp, about a year ago, we decided to build out a Chrome extension. And the point of the Chrome extension was it's really threefold. One, users typically have a better loading experience with the Chrome extension for technical reasons. It definitely helps bring in a lot of projects much easier, makes the entire experience in MarkUp really, really strong. Number two, with the extension, I actually could have been back here with this preview link or any website, and I can actually create a MarkUp project directly from that website. So it'll basically, as soon as I'm logged in, it'll let me place a commenting layer over top of that site and begin commenting on it. And then three, you'll see here that it actually allows you to take an automatic screenshot when you're placing a comment. So I'll be the first to admit, I know that people and teams, depending on the organization and depending on security, it can be a little tricky to add extensions, but this takes 2 seconds to add. It's so easy. We already have 10% of our user base using it. And it makes the experience so much better because you can track what has happened in your project over time. So now if I were to go back and make this change, which I'll get to in a second, you'll always have a running tally of what did things look like before in the past? Like as we're making a lot of comments and changes inside of MarkUp, like how did things look? And especially when you're working with a lot of Ceros content, you'll see there's things like hotspots, animations, pop-ups. The Chrome extension is really, really nice for being able to see very clearly what was there, where is this pin located, Super efficient for getting teams in and around a markup project. So I'm actually going to pop back here and go back out of this. Scrolling down. So what I love about being able to place comments in here, especially with a lot of this animated content and the screenshots, is let's say I wanted to come here and say, so I can actually attach a new file here. We'll do new shades. These look good. Ray-Bans. Paste. And you see what I love about MarkUp. And if you have seen MarkUp in the last 18 months and you were with us since day one, you knew we definitely were working through a lot of ways in which how pins could stick properly to really animated content, especially in Ceros experiences. And this is a shout out to the entire MarkUp team. The way that this pin really is super responsive with how this is animated, how this is displayed on the screen, and that pin is always going to follow that element. So it's super clean for the reviewer to come in and know exactly where things are. Huge shout out to the MarkUp team there, because that is fantastic to see. So what I want to point out now is basically you're ready to go. You've created a couple of comments. You want to send this out to your team, anyone across your organization, and you're like, damn it, I don't want people to have to sign up for this product. And they don't. So basically you just grab a share link down here. The best, most recommended way of doing this is just copying this link. You technically can add people by email address, but we typically see that the best ways that teams collaborate are typically sending this copied link out into, it could be an email, it could be Slack, it could be in your project management tool, or maybe use Teams instead of Slack. Basically anywhere that your project management side of things is living, or wherever your team is communicating, this is the best way to share that MarkUp link. So when someone receives this link, they're going to click, and they're going to get prompted with this. And we want to be very transparent about this because it's something we've talked about internally. Yes, this does seem a little daunting. And yes, it seems like we're asking people to sign up, but we're actually not. All we're asking for here is a name, and email is totally optional if you want people to get email notifications as part of the project, but they just need to click continue as guests and they're good to go. So super easy to get inside of a project. Again, just a name, click continue as guest, this big blue button, and they're good to go. Yes, you see other things here in terms of like signing up if they want to, if you do want people to create an account, but it is not necessary. It's super easy to get inside of these projects. So back here in the studio, I've got my MarkUp project up and I'm looking at this shades thing, and my team said, okay, they want me to swap out this image here. What was this image? I can download this image if I want. Luckily, I already do have it on my computer here. So I'm going to go back into the studio. Go to my particular tile. Click this. Replace image. Got my shades. I'm going to expand that a little bit. And I'm going to go back to MarkUp. And what you're going to see now is those shades have now replaced in real time inside of MarkUp. And what's beautiful too, that number 2 is still here. It stayed responsive with the image the whole time. And as you click on this, I could go back in as a reviewer and say, okay, what did it look like before? Okay, it was these shades. That's where the pin was. We wanted to swap that out. This looks good. We're going to go ahead and resolve this. And now all of your resolve comments are going to appear grayed out over here in the resolve tab. Super easy to come in and access them. And then you'll still have your active comments over here on the left-hand side. So really easy to be able to come in, leave comments, make everything very transparent for your team, share this out with your team, be able to get people into the project very quickly. Guest access is the most efficient way for teams to do that. We see a lot of teams leveraging the guest access side of things, and then being able to make changes in real time in the studio. Now, I will say that a lot of teams, when we first talked about this, a lot of teams and early users were a little wary of kind of keeping that agile approach where you're working in between the studio and MarkUp in one project. Everything is changing in real time. And let's say, for whatever reason, security concerns or company concerns, and you're not allowed to use the extension. And again, that is the only way to get screenshots. We don't have that built into the app today. So if you're not using the extension, you're not going to get screenshots, and you really want to have that running tally of like what things look like over time. That's easy. You can come back in here to the studio if you wanted. And that first project could be the one that's living inside MarkUp. And you can just create a copy of this experience. And with that new copy, you can call it, Memorial Day weekend shade season version 2. And you can start making changes inside of that one. And the changes from the original project are not going to show up inside here, inside of MarkUp, because you're using now a completely different link. So if you do want to keep things static in that way, it works perfectly. If you want to keep things in an agile feedback loop, the first way that I went about it, teams definitely like to use. But if you're not using screenshots, definitely recommend going with some sort of copied approach. It's totally up to your team. We always say, just have that conversation up front, know what method you want to go with, and know who's going to be reviewing things along the way. Super, super helpful. All right. And then one other thing here inside of the project. So down here, you can actually switch between your desktop, tablet, and mobile views. So I'm going to click this. And what's going to happen is I'll actually be able to see the mobile version of my Ceros experience inside of MarkUp. And I'll be able to leave comments on here just in the exact same way as I was doing with desktop version, test 1. You'll see down here, so that now becomes number 3. And then over here, you'll see that on mobile, I only have 1. And on desktop, I have 2, tablet 0. So those comments, they're not going to keep bleeding over based on the variant that you're on. They're only going to show in that particular layout, whether you're on desktop, tablet, or mobile. So we keep things very clean there. I will say one thing that has come up recently from users is the ability to technically know as soon as you come into a project, hey, I immediately see that I've got 2 comments on desktop, but I actually technically don't have a way to know if I have comments on tablet or mobile. We're aware of it. We definitely need to build that out. We definitely need to notify the user that there's comments down there, but we do keep them separate for now. And teams definitely make the most of desktop and mobile. Tablet is used a decent bit, just depends on the project, I would say. And a couple of other things real quick. Down here is just some basic settings. You can toggle off email notifications if you'd like. Right here is showing pins in browse mode. So technically, if I just wanted to browse about my site, and luckily this is a one-pager, but if I wanted to browse, all the comments disappear. But if I still want to see the comments, I can just show that by clicking that. And then if you do have the extension and you're like, okay, I don't want to keep having a screenshot every single time I have a comment, you can go down here and easily toggle those off as well, if you'd like. And then that, for the most part, is it. Again, we kind of pride ourselves in the fact that I guess we technically started this at maybe 203, 204. The demo is not very long, and it's super easy to use MarkUp. It's not a complex tool. Once you're signed up, once you've created a project, once you've shared it with people, it's very easy to get in here, start making changes, start providing feedback, and working as a team through this project. Again, it just depends on how you want to go about your method for project management and reviewing, and deciding whether you want to keep it very agile or keeping it more of a static approach. Both work perfectly well. It's just totally up to your team what you want to do. And with that, I think the only other thing I wanted to point out was that, like we said over here with uploading files, PDF is something that we've actually heard time and again, not just from Ceros users, but from pretty much all of our users, is PDF is a pretty predominant format in terms of what people are downloading onto their computers. Still something that people save locally. Trying to collaborate on PDF content is miserable. You typically need to have like Adobe Editor, some sort of Adobe Reader installed on your computer in order to not only see that content, but to comment on it as well. And so we know, even for Ceros customers, you're creating a ton of amazing content in the studio, but there are instances where PDFs still come into play. And we wanted to give you that ability to upload those files and to comment on PDF content inside of MarkUp. And so basically, starting in mid-June, we're in early access right now. So this is a beta period for us, but basically you'll be able to come in, upload any PDF. MarkUp's going to turn it into a canvas for commenting. You can comment across any page and share it in the exact same way you would a web project. So really, really easy to be able to come back in here. You can actually swap out pages once you've made changes on your side with the PDF. You can also delete pages. You can reorder them. And eventually we'll have a way to kind of splice in a bunch of new pages over time. That should be out by the time we do general availability in mid-June. Yeah. And with that, I'm honestly going to open it up to Q&A. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Alex. That was great. We did have a couple questions come through that I was just going to read off to you if you want to tackle some of these. The first question is just asking if you could run through the timelines for PDF and Workspaces.
Yeah. Yep. No worries. So again, PDFs we're in early access right now. We've got about 230 people in there, creating PDF content, going through it, providing a ton of feedback. And we expect that the last bit of things we needed to clean up was the ability to replace pages and kind of splice in new pages as you're adding more to it. So we expect it to launch on June 10th. That'd be Thursday, June 10th, 2 Thursdays from this Thursday. And then Workspaces, it's in development right now. The team's working really, really hard on it. I would say we'll have early access at some point in July, but probably have general availability in August.
Perfect. Just going to read off a couple more of these. There's a question that is asking if there is a benefit to using the preview or published Ceros link in MarkUp.
Oh, it's actually a really good question. I would say the preview link is really just a way for teams to put something into MarkUp before anything gets published. We always heard that a lot of teams didn't like to kind of go through feedback on published links just in case they had things like SEO turned on or just didn't want it to be a published experience. But there really is no difference. You're still using a website, works in the exact same way. It just was an easier way for people to, before publish, being able to throw in their preview link, take a look at it, provide a bunch of feedback, and then feel much better about going live with it via publishing.
Okay, nice. Couple other questions. So this is we've got a couple longer ones, so bear with me. But this one says, I haven't used MarkUp lately. One issue was that the addition of new pages and pins were not moving with the associated object / copy when a new page was added. Has that been fixed? And I guess Greg or Aaron, if you guys want to chime in here as well, I can open it up to everybody.
Yeah, I can chime in on this one.
Yeah, go for it, Greg.
Yeah, Fernando. Not sure when the last time you used it was, but that problem you experienced, it should be fixed now. However, I will go ahead and connect with you offline, and maybe we can schedule a quick Zoom, go over the issue you're having, and make sure everything's okay there.
Awesome. Thanks, Greg. All right. Another question that came through says, is there a trick for locating pins that are deep within a Ceros experience? For example, if a user wants text edited on a lightbox that opens up when an icon is selected, right now I get an error that the pin can't be located, and I have to toggle back and forth to try to find where the pin is located.
Yeah, that's a great question. So one of the things that I mentioned here, Charlotte, was the ability to have that extension activated. So the MarkUp extension, it'll take an automatic screenshot for you when somebody's leaving a comment. Yeah, the trick is that they would also need to have the extension on in order for that to happen. So that will at least allow you to identify, okay, like let's say that this pin happened to be behind, 10 different layers. You would at least be able to see at the time that that person left a screenshot, or sorry, left a comment, what did the state look like? And so you could dig a little bit further. I'll admit, and Greg and Aaron will say the same, it's not perfect. And there's a couple of things that I guess come into play here. One, it would be great if we could just build screenshot functionality natively into the app. We haven't yet. It's a little tricky. It's something we've talked about internally, and I don't have a timeline for it. And that would help everyone avoid having to actually go about adding the extension in the first place. And then number two, which I think would be the best solve in the world, but I know is very complex from a technical standpoint, is being able to click into that comment right away and it to drill down through all those layers and automatically find where that pin is. That would be amazing. And I'm sure Aaron is laughing hearing that, but that's pretty technical. And the best solution today is at least having the extension installed so you get that screenshot and you know exactly what that person was looking at, even if you personally have to go through a couple of states to get there. The second best solution would be needing to build out some sort of native screenshot functionality so that you and your users aren't having to add the extension in order to get that functionality.
Perfect. And that actually ties into one of the other questions that came through. It says, how do we actually get access to the Chrome extension?
Yep. So Caroline, I'll make sure we follow up with this link for everybody. But can you see this here on this page?
Yep.
Yeah. So this is the link to the Chrome store. Again, I will always say, I know everyone's company policy is different, but if you're allowed to add an extension, this takes 2 seconds and you never need to touch it again. As long as it's up there, MarkUp will take an automatic screenshot for you. So super easy. 9,000 of our 100,000 users have been leveraging it. And we're looking for better ways to push it out because we know it's important to have for sure.
Great. A couple other questions. Let me just make sure none of these are repeats. Is MarkUp free to current Ceros users or is this an additional charge?
Yeah. So I think I probably mentioned that Workspaces is going to be a free thing, but everything that I mentioned is free for Ceros customers. That is part of the subscription, and we don't even have a paid tier out just yet. Like MarkUp is free for anybody to use, but I know as we look to build out some of those paid tiers, the plan is that this is going to be a part of every Ceros customer's subscription. But for people outside of Ceros, for sure, there will be kind of enterprise grade functionality that will be paid for sure.
Awesome. Couple other questions. What is the easiest way for me and my team to get set up with MarkUp?
Yeah, so I would say whoever has a seat in the studio, it's best for you all to, and we're going to send the sign up link after this call. Go to markup.io/sign up. We'll send that in an email. You can sign in, whether it's with SSO, if your company happens to use that, or just using the email from the Ceros studio. And you'll create an account and you can add people to your account from there, or just simply what we see all the time is just people will come back in here. Well, let's say I had a fresh account here and I just created one project. Just grab a share link and start sharing that link around. And as people sign up, that project is also going to live in their own personal dashboard. But if you happen to invite them to your entire account, which you can do over here, again, we're going to revamp this in the coming months with Workspaces. So it'll be way easier, more transparent to do in terms of adding people. The best way is just come in, sign up, grab a share link, copy it, send it out to your teammates. They can come in, they can sign up for free, or they can join as a guest for free. It's so easy to use.
Okay, great. And unless any other questions are still coming through the chat, a lot of the ones in there are repeats of ones we've answered already. So if you have any other questions, please send them in. If not, I believe this will be the last one. It is asking, how do we sign up for early access?
So depends on, we can set you up with both PDF and Workspace early access, but whoever that user is, we can get in touch with and get them early access. So as soon as you either sign up or if you already have an existing MarkUp account, just let us know. You can either reply back to the email that gets sent out after this call, or I'm also going to drop in, I'll just do Alex at markup.io. Please feel free to reach out directly to me and we'll make sure we get you set up with whatever you need. I also do want to point out, feel free to just contact me directly if you want me to run through a demo with your team. I'm more than happy to do that. And we really want everyone here to be able to get spun up in MarkUp because we hear time and again from a lot of the Ceros customers that have adopted it. It's helped out incredibly in terms of their feedback process. And yeah, we see a lot of the questions over here still about things with, hidden content and working with a lot of pop-ups and animated objects. And yeah, we know that there is still some work to do there, but in terms of overall, just coming in, providing feedback on content, getting through changes in a much faster clip, MarkUp can do you wonders, and we want to make sure that everyone is leveraging it. So seriously, do not hesitate to reach out if you want me to run through an extra demo with your team, or even just walk through it with a client or a colleague.
Great. Thank you so much, Alex. And that looks like the rest of the questions. So thanks, Alex, for running through this. This was awesome. And thank you everyone so much for joining. We'll be sending out the recording of this session at either later today or early tomorrow. So be on the lookout for that. But thank you all again. And Alex, not sure if there's anything else you wanted to add before we wrap up.
No, yeah, I really appreciate everyone popping on again. I just want to reiterate, we're super, super happy about where everything has gone with MarkUp, and we know there's a lot of really exciting stuff ahead. And for those that have been with us for a bit, thank you. And for those that are just learning about it today for the first time, we're excited to help you out and streamline your feedback process. So seriously, anything we can do to help you out, don't hesitate to reach out and ask us.
Thanks, Alex. Thanks, everyone. Have a good rest of your day.
All right, see y'all. Take care.